Today, we're diving into one of the most difficult topics that I discuss, which is the mother wound. If you clicked on this video, chances are you know exactly what I'm talking about. That deep, aching feeling that no matter how successful, how accomplished, how grown up you become, something inside you still feels like that wounded little child seeking approval from the one person who should have given it unconditionally, but didn't. I'm Beryl, and I've spent years studying toxic relationships after being in so many of them myself. Narcissistic behavior and the unique challenges we face in midlife when we finally have the courage to look at these painful truths. My second book, No Permission Required, comes out very soon, and while it covers breaking free from all types of toxic people, today I want to focus on the most complex relationship of all, which is the one that we have with our mothers, especially as daughters. Before we go any further, let me be clear. This isn't about mother bashing. This is about understanding how certain maternal behaviors create wounds that follow us into adulthood throughout our lives, and learning how to heal them is really important. Some of you might be thinking, but she's my mother, I should be grateful. Well, we're going to unpack that too. If you're watching this, you're probably in midlife, maybe wondering why you still feel so triggered by your mother's antics and her comments, why you still seek her approval and validation, or why you keep repeating patterns that hurt you. You're not alone, and more importantly, you're not broken. You're just wounded, and wounds can heal. Now, I want to address something that I see consistently in my work with women, especially when it comes to their relationships with their mothers, is that women typically fall into one of two distinct categories. The first category is what I call the best friend relationship with your mother. These are the women who talk to their mothers multiple times a day, who share every detail of their lives with them, who consider their mother their closest confidant. From the outside, this might look ideal, and for some women, it genuinely is a healthy and loving relationship. But here's what I want you to consider is that sometimes what looks like closeness is actually enmeshment. Sometimes that daily contact isn't about love, it's about control. It's about what the mother needs. Sometimes that best friend dynamic means you never got to individuate, never got to become your own person separate from your mother's needs and expectations and perhaps her personality. The second category of women is those who have difficult, strained, or even estranged relationships with their mothers, which is the category I fall into. These are the women who dread phone calls, who feel anxious before family gatherings, who have learned to keep their mothers at arm's length to protect their own well-being and their own comfort. And here's what's interesting is that women in both categories can be dealing with the mother wound. The woman who talks to her mother 5 times a day might be just as wounded as the woman who hasn't spoken to her mother in 5 years. The difference is in how they're coping with that wound. And if you're watching this video, you're likely in that second category, which is the more obvious category, or maybe you're in the first category, but starting to question whether that closeness is actually healthy. This video is for you. This is for the women who are ready to acknowledge that something wasn't right, that the relationship that was supposed to be your first model of love actually taught you some very painful lessons about your self-worth. Whether you're estranged from your mother or still desperately seeking her approval and validation, and whether you cut contact years ago or you're still trying to earn her love, this video is also for you. What exactly is the mother wound? It's the emotional and psychological impact of having a mother who, for whatever reason, couldn't provide the unconditional love safety, and emotional attunement that children need to develop a healthy sense of self. This doesn't mean your mother was evil or that she didn't love you. Sometimes the most damaging mothers are the ones who genuinely believe that they're doing their absolute best. The mother wound can come from emotional neglect, being physically present but emotionally unavailable. Your basic needs were met, but your emotional needs were ignored or minimized. Or maybe narcissistic mothering, where you became an extension of her ego, valued only when you made her look good or feel good about herself or did whatever she wanted. Or conditional love, where affection and approval came with strings attached. You learned early that love had to be earned through performance, compliance, caretaking, accomplishment, or enmeshment, where boundaries between you and your mother were a bit blurred and you became responsible for her emotions, her happiness, and even her sense of self. And this gets worse as they get older. Criticism and compassion, constant judgment, never being able to be good enough, always being compared to others, and the list goes on. Gaslighting, having your reality, feelings, and experiences denied or twisted until you learn to doubt your own perceptions. The list is endless. Here's what's crucial to understand. The mother wound isn't just about what happened to you as a child. It's about how those experiences shaped your internal world, your beliefs about yourself, your worthiness of love, your ability to trust your own judgment. The mother wound tells us you're not enough as you are. Love is conditional. Your feelings don't matter. You exist to serve others, especially me. Now, you might be wondering, if this happened in childhood, why am I dealing with it now in my 40s, 50s, or beyond? Well, that's a great question. Midlife has a way of bringing unresolved wounds to the surface, and there are several reasons why the mother wound often hits us hardest during this time. First, we're finally emotionally ready to face it. In our younger years, we're often too busy surviving, building careers, raising children, maintaining relationships. We use all our energy just to get through the day. But midlife often brings a pause, a moment where we can finally breathe and look around at our lives. And second, we're watching our own children become adults and how they are with us. And nothing highlights dysfunction in a family quite like seeing your own kids reach the age where you were when certain things happened to you. And you might think, oh, I could never have said that to my child. And suddenly you realize that your childhood was not normal. It really wasn't. Thirdly, our mothers are aging. There's often pressure to reconcile, to make peace, to be the bigger person, or to provide more. Family members might say things like, oh, she's getting older, you need to let it go, or she did her best. Well, this pressure can be overwhelming. Fourth, we're dealing with our own identity shifts. Midlife is when we're often asking, who am I beyond my roles as a daughter, a mother, a wife, an employee, whatever it is? And sometimes we discover that so much of our identity was built around seeking approval or avoiding conflict in our families that we don't actually know who we are. Here's how the mother wound typically shows up in midlife, which is, number one, people pleasing to the point of exhaustion. You've built your entire identity around making others happy because that's what kept you safe as a child. Imposter syndrome. No matter how successful you become, you feel like a fraud because you learned early on that your worth was conditional. Or difficulty with boundaries. You feel guilty saying no. You overgive in relationships. You attract people who take advantage of your kindness. Perfectionism. Nothing is ever good enough because you learned that mistakes meant withdrawal of love. difficulty in trusting your own judgment. You second guessed yourself constantly because your perceptions were invalidated often. Relationship patterns. You might find yourself in relationships where you're always the giver, or you might avoid close relationships altogether. And perhaps most painfully, you might find yourself still desperately seeking your mother's approval and validation, even though part of you knows it's never coming, at least not in the way you need it. Before we talk about healing, we need to address the elephant in the room, which is the cultural myth that mothers are inherently good, that they always do their best, and that questioning their behavior is somehow wrong or ungrateful. Well, let me tell you something that might be hard to hear and understand, but being a biological mother doesn't automatically make someone a good mother. The act of giving birth doesn't erase personality disorders, trauma, addiction, or emotional immaturity. We live in a culture that romanticizes motherhood to the point where we can't even have honest conversations about maternal harm. We're told that mothers are selfless, that they sacrifice everything for their children, that they love unconditionally. And while this may be true for some lucky few, it's not true for all mothers. Some mothers are emotionally immature and use their children to meet their own needs. Some mothers are narcissistic and see their children as extensions of themselves. And some mothers are so consumed by their own trauma that they pass it on to their children without ever recognizing the damage that they're causing. And here's what I want you to understand is that acknowledging that your mother harmed you doesn't make you a bad person. It doesn't mean that you're ungrateful. It doesn't mean that you hate her. It means that you're telling the truth about your experience. And here's another truth that might be hard to swallow. Your mother doing her best doesn't mean her best was good enough. Her best doesn't erase the impact of her actions on you. And her best doesn't mean that you're not allowed to be hurt by what she did or didn't do. We wouldn't accept this logic in any other relationship. If a friend consistently criticized us, manipulated us, or made us feel small, we wouldn't say, well, she's doing her best, would we? We'd recognize that the relationship was harmful and either address it or end it. But because it's our mother, we're told to forgive and to understand and to make excuses. We're told that family is everything, that blood is thicker than water. But here's what they don't tell you. The original saying is, the blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb, meaning that chosen relationships can be stronger than biological ones. You are allowed to acknowledge that your mother harmed you. You are allowed to feel angry about it. You are allowed to set boundaries, and you are allowed to limit contact or even cut contact if that's what you need to do to heal. Your healing doesn't require her permission. Now let's talk about the healing. And I want to be clear from the start. Healing the mother wound isn't about fixing the relationship with your mother. It might result in that, but that's probably not going to be the goal. The goal is healing yourself. The first step is acknowledging the wound. This might seem obvious, but many of us spend years minimizing our experiences, making excuses for our mothers, or telling ourselves it wasn't really that bad. Acknowledgement means saying, yes, this happened. Yes, it hurt me. Yes, it's still affecting me. The second step is grieving. You need to grieve the mother that you needed but you never had. You need to grieve the unconditional love you deserved but didn't receive. You need to grieve the childhood that you lost. This grief is necessary and valid, and even if she's still alive, even more so then. The third step is understanding the patterns. How is your mother wound showing up in your life today? Are you people pleasing? Are you in relationships where you're always the giver? Are you sacrificing your own needs to keep the peace? Or are you still seeking approval from people who can't and will never give it to you? The fourth step is reparenting yourself. This means learning to give yourself what your mother couldn't or wouldn't give you. It means developing your own inner voice of compassion, validation, and encouragement. And it means learning to trust your own judgment and honor your own feelings. The fifth step is setting boundaries. And this is often the hardest part because it goes against everything that you were taught. You were taught that love means having no boundaries, that good daughters sacrifice themselves for their families, that your needs don't really matter. But boundaries aren't walls, they're bridges to healthier relationships. Or not. Here's what boundary setting might look like. Limiting the topics you discuss with your mother, or refusing to be the family therapist or mediator or scapegoat, not accepting criticism or judgment about your choices, deciding how much contact feels healthy for you, or choosing not to share any personal information that might be used against you, and refusing to feel guilty for living your own life. The sixth step is finding your authentic self. For so long you've been who your mother needed you to be for her, or who you thought would earn her love and validation. But who are you really? What do you actually really want in life? What brings you joy and what are your values? The seventh step is creating chosen family. And this might include friends who truly see and accept you, a partner who loves you unconditionally, or even your own children if you have them. Chosen family are the people who show up for you, who celebrate your successes, who love you, who comfort you, and are there for you in your pain and everything. There's something beautiful that happens when you heal the mother wound. You stop looking for mothering from people who can't give it to you. You stop trying to earn love from people who are incapable of giving it freely. You start attracting people who can actually see and appreciate who you really are. And let me give you some practical steps that you can start taking today. Start journaling. Write about your childhood experiences without censoring yourself. Notice what emotions come up. Notice what stories you tell yourself about what happened. Practice self-compassion. When you catch yourself being self-critical, ask yourself, is this my voice or is this my mother's voice? Then practice speaking to yourself with the kindness that you would show a good friend. Get therapy. That also helps. Find a therapist who understands family trauma and toxic relationships. This work is hard to do alone, and you deserve support. Or join a support group. There are online and in-person groups for people healing from toxic families. It's incredibly validating to connect with others who understand your experience. Learn about boundaries, read books, watch videos, take courses. Boundary setting is a skill that can be learned. Practice saying no. Start small. Say no to things that don't serve you. Notice how it feels. Notice that the world doesn't end. Limit information sharing. You don't have to share every detail of your life with your mother. You can keep some things private and develop your own interests. What did you love as a child that you gave up? What have you always wanted to try? This is your permission to explore. Create new traditions. You don't have to celebrate holidays or milestones the way that your family always has. You can create new traditions that actually resonate with you and bring you joy. Remember, healing isn't linear. You'll have good days and bad days. You'll make progress and then feel like you're back where you started. This is normal. Be patient with yourself. If you're watching this video, You're already on the path to healing. You're asking the hard questions. You're willing to face uncomfortable truths. And you're ready to reclaim your life. The mother wound is real and it's painful, but it's not permanent. You can heal. You can break the cycle. You can create the life you've always wanted, even if it's not the life that your mother envisaged for you. Your worth isn't conditional. Your feelings matter. Your needs are valid. You deserve love and respect and kindness, especially from yourself. Remember that you don't need permission to heal. You don't need permission to set boundaries. You don't need permission to live authentically. You don't need permission to be happy. The little girl inside you has been waiting for someone to see her, to validate her, to tell her that she's enough, that someone is you. You can be the mother to yourself that you never had. If this video resonated with you, please share it with someone who might need to hear this message. And subscribe for more content on healing, boundaries, and midlife reinvention. And remember, your healing journey is sacred. Honor it. You've got this. I believe in you.